Hey, so hello class. So this will be a short video of lesson something. I forgot what lesson that is, but anyway, it's week 5 on the screen, and we are focusing on cohesion and synthesis. First, we'll look at the learning outcomes, and well, at the end of this movie, at the end of this unit, you should be able to write accurate and appropriate section headings, connect ideas through the use of cohesive devices and strategies, synthesizing ideas from multiple sources, and logically connect ideas within a paragraph or a section. I hope you like this meme on the side. That's you before the lesson and you after the lesson. Right. And there's going to be some lag with the animation. Hope you're okay with that. Now, by the time you get your hand on this Prezis, you can zoom in into various parts to look at it in detail. But basically, here we have a mind map of the various topics that supposedly you will be able to learn, handle, or master by the end of the whole course, right? Starting from in the middle, we have what we call academic English. We have covered critical reading. We've covered within critical reading some approaches of reading text, efficient in-text keyword search or note keeping, identify quality academic sources, also looking at how to avoid plagiarisms through using double quotes and paraphrasing. We also kind of discuss a little about the difference between spoken tone and written tone. Most importantly, within tone, it's hedging, which is basically not to be overly absolute with the words we use. And so we want to downplay or downscale the level of certainty while we're writing. And also there is depersonalization, which means that we will not be using I, we, you, so on and so forth. Okay, now you might be hearing some noises at the back because those, my 2 daughters are at home, so sorry about that. In terms of speaking, we'll actually cover that in future lessons. So we haven't touched on much in that topic. Anyway, we're still focusing on writing at the moment. So we have stands, if you like, focusing on argument, counter argument, rebuttals, which you are should be very familiar with by now. In terms of writing, we looked at structure, and structure we have overall structures of text types, or we call it register level. We looked at report type and essay type, right? And then, actually, we haven't looked at report type yet. We're still focusing on essay because that's your task 2. After that, when you submitted your task 2, we'll go on and look at reports. Organization in the paragraph level, we have several combinations, if you recall. Topic sentences plus supporting sentences plus concluding sentences. That's the first one. The second one, stance plus in-text citation, bracket supporting evidence plus explanation. The third one, we have stance plus counter-argument plus rebuttal. So these are some of the formats you should be familiar with by now. In terms of sentence structure and the clausal level, we will be talking about synthesizing ideas today. We already have learned a little about citation and referencing in terms of APA styles, and cover a little bit on how to use Microsoft Word. I will probably show that again today in this video, as in, but I won't go into the detail of it because I'm not sure how many of you will actually be using it. Grammar, we have cohesion, which we'll touch on today, and something new we will learn today. It's new and given. All right. Anyway, so you can come back here later on in the course and see if you have mastered all of these. Now, in terms of citation and referencing, we do have a number of resources, and it's actually on Moodle, but I personally think that these 2 are very good resources in terms of getting FAQs, using FAQs from the official APA style site, as well as the use of in-text citation, the basics through Purdue Writing Lab. And Purdue Writing Lab is actually a really good website that tells you a lot of things about citations. You can have APA citation formats. In this case, 7th edition will help you, as you can see here, help you generate some sites, APA citations, reference lists, journal articles, online videos, and so on and so forth. If you scroll down, you can also find information on MLA, IEEE, Chicago style. So in case you need to use these are the references that you can look up, and they are good. So make use of that if you need them. All right, so I'm just going to close this for now and go back to this slide. On the side here, well, you should be familiar with these two tables. One is in orange and the other one in blue. We actually spend quite a bit of time just discussing this, or actually going through this. So if you need it, you can always refer them again. One is on the integral citation, one is on the non-integral citation. So the blue one is integral and the orange one is non-integral. The key difference is the purpose of using them, because if you are using the non-integral, you are not focusing on the author that you cite, you're focusing on the matter. And in most cases, we prefer the non-integral rather than the integral citation. Whereas here you also have the integral citation. So, well, anyway, you can go into the detail if you need that, right? Right, let's move on. Now, I want to quickly answer some questions on annotations. Actually, could be from your class or from the other class, because this is actually part of your assignment. It accounts for 5% of the score in task 2. So what is considered as a kind of annotation? Basically, you can look at the diagnostic writing task exemplar, which you can find in the Moodle, course Moodle. Anyway, I have captured one shot here for demonstration purpose. What you need to do if you are using Microsoft Word, assuming that, you can select the text that you want to add comment to or add annotation to. Then you right click and choose new comment. And then after that, you can type in the comment directly. So it shouldn't be too difficult. Now, if you're going to use PDF, please try to use the highlight functionality. Then after you highlight, you can double click on that to add your annotation to it. Okay, but I think the Microsoft Word version is easier. Now, what you need to do is to make 8 or more annotations that show a good understanding of academic writing skill being practiced in this course. What that means is you want to tell me what skills you have learned and you have applied, and then why you have applied them. All right, taking this as an example, so the first comment is, well, this student is really good. So this student actually looked at the marking rubric. When you remember, we have the 4 categories. So C1, it's all elements are present. C2, it's on the construction of arguments. C3, it's on grammar, and C4 is on citation and referencing. So there are 4 categories. And this student even marked down C1 and wanted to explain to the teacher what this paragraph or these sentences are doing. So for example, here C1 introduces the background and importance of topics supported by relevant sources. And then later on in the next sentence, again, highlighting certain parts of it, and then say C1, clear thesis statement, or C2 and C3 uses expressive and evaluative vocabulary to express the stance of others. Right? So basically, this is something, a very good example, in fact, but you don't have to give me the C1, C2, C3, C4, because that might just take too much time. Just give me something that will answer the what skills you have applied and why you have applied them. That should be enough. And actually, that would be enough. Okay, so don't have to do too much. 8 or more. So that means minimum is 8. Don't give me anything less than 8. Make sure you at least have 8 parts of it, then I'll be happy. So you're marking this on your task 2, which means that you have to finish the writing before you can do the annotation, right? So possible task 2 essay structure, we have actually gone through this little slide right in the first lesson before you did the diagnostic presentation. Writing, diagnostic writing. But anyway, we're just looking at the essay part. So I covered up the report for now. And if you recall what we did in lesson 1, I showed you this and I said, well, introduction and conclusion and overall structure are like that, right? So introduction is purpose of the essay, summary of author's opinion, structure of the essay, followed by the overall structure, which is in paragraphs and comes with topic sentences, introducing main ideas, then the conclusion. But now that you have completed the diagnostic writing, we can actually add more detail to what it should look like, because now you have learned all these topic sentences, followed by explanation, followed by examples, followed by more arguments or concluding sentences, right? So you know that basic structure for the body part of the argument. Now that we can look at the whole essay structure in more detail. Now, if you look at the top part, introduction is what background information is given, what is the main stance, and the main stance, sometimes we also call it the thesis statement, because that one statement telling the readers what you really are thinking. If you recall the John Oliver's video that I showed you on science last week tonight, the thesis statement was that science is not wrong, but there are a lot of things that are pretending to be real science, right? That was the thesis statement. And then you can talk about the outline of structure, and the outline of the structure of the essay has to be added usually after you finish the whole essay. So you add that part last, because if you don't do the outline of the structure last, you don't write this part last, you might not actually have the body paragraph 1, 2, 3 ready, right? So you have to make sure body 1, 2, 3 is done, and then you can go back to write the outline of the structure. As for the body paragraph, I think you guys are perfectly okay now. You have the writer's stand, which is your stance. Then you have supporting information, supporting evidence, citations, and then you have counter arguments, followed by the rebuttal. And you do that in a few rounds of it. You don't have to really have 3 body paragraphs. You can have fewer, you can have more, but the most important thing is within that word limit, you should have a good balance of length. So the introduction cannot be too long. Body paragraphs should be roughly about the same length, each paragraph, and conclusions definitely cannot be 1 sentence, 2 sentences, or 3 sentences long. Now, what I mean is, because a lot of students, when they are doing or writing their task 2, they spend a lot of time in introduction. So the introduction is much more detailed. But when they continue writing, they realize that, okay, well, I don't have that much to talk about. And then when they get to the conclusion, they just thought, I don't know what to do. So quickly just scribble a few words and then send it in maybe an hour before the deadline. That's no good. So make sure that you balance the length of each sections nicely within the word limit allowed. Okay, so that's important, because it has to look nice. It has to look presentable. So the number of words should be roughly the same for each section or paragraph, if you like. So before we actually go into the detail of this this week's lesson, there is a concept that I would like to share with you, or actually we have actually touched on that, but just really scratching the surface here. Now we want to formally introduce this concept called learning transfer. So we have been talking about how we learn things in this CAES1000 course and applying them to Common Core courses. If possible, even apply that to your faculty courses, right? And what is this concept anyway? Learning transfer. Well, according to Haskell 2001, the learning transfer, it's actually the aim of, if you like, the aim of all education from elementary, secondary, vocation, and industrial training to higher education is to apply what we learn in different contexts and to recognize and extend that learning to completely new situations. Collectively, this is called transfer of learning or learning transfer. And that's the concept, basically. It's to use what you've learned and apply them to new situations and tackle new or even unfamiliar challenges. There is a video I would like you to watch, okay? And actually it's on the course Moodle, but if you by the time you get hold of this Prezis, you can put it on the slideshow and press the button directly and it'll take you to that video and you can watch it. And after the video, please help me also fill in a really quick survey. You can also click or you can use QR code to do that. So, I really need to hear from you because as you know that our university is not very into gamification, we call it, or not really into using games for teaching. And we are trying to promote that, but we need you to give us opinions and give us your views. All right, if there are a lot of students supporting this idea, then we can have more. All right, so I'm relying on you guys to help me fill in the form. I hope everybody can do it after you watch the video. Right, next, let's move on. That's just the course intro. So we are going to the main thing or main theme for this week's lesson. It's making connections through cohesion and synthesizing ideas. Oh, but before that, we have a look at our task 2 essay as well as task 3 report rubric. The question here is, in which criterion is cohesion and synthesizing ideas from multiple sources included? If you click on this, you'll be able to zoom in. Basically, the answer is mostly in terms of C2, the ability to express academic argument. Because to be able to construct a real good argument, you need to have synthesis, which is compiling information together and making it into your own word. And while you do that, you need to connect these ideas nicely, which is the cohesion part. If you're able to connect them nicely, which means the logical and the flow is good, and we can see that you have used sources from reading, reliable sources, then that will give you a good ability to express academic argument. That will give you a good grade in terms of C2. Okay, and let's go. So this whole idea about cohesion, it's a really nice concept coming from the gentleman and his wife on the right side here. This is the famous Michael Halliday with his wife, Professor Hassan, and actually they are my teacher's teacher. And my teacher is the person on the left, Professor Christian Matheson. Actually, he is my PhD supervisor. Real good. I mean, this is really good people. If you want to read more about cohesion and in terms of the grammar that they talk about, you have the two references down there. One is 1976, one is first published in 1985 by Halliday and Matheson. The other one then updated in 2014. So cohesion, right? Let's get into cohesion. So the concept of cohesion focuses more on several things, but the one that we really care a lot about is, or maybe care a lot more about, would be information unit. And for information unit, sometimes we want to just make it really simple and say, well, what we're talking about, we talk about new versus given information. And let's go into what that means. Now, when we talk about flow of a discourse, actually we are referring to multiple levels of meanings or structure. So first of all, at the first level, it's semantics level. And in semantics level, that's where the new and given it's focused on. That's where the information system is. And this is non-structural resources. And this is the one that we will focus on a little bit later, right after this slide. Next one is the lexical level. Lexical level means the word level, meaning lexis, vocabulary level, and focuses on lexical cohesion, or if you like, synonyms and hyponyms, so synonymies and hyponyms. And then just to make it really simple for you, I use an example called salmon and fish. So, when you're writing something, first time, maybe you want to call the fish salmon by its fish name. And next time you can say maybe this fish or these fish or this kind of fish, in a sense that you don't have to repeatedly use the word salmon, and you can use other equivalents to continue with the conversation because it's already known to the reader. More on that later. Finally, it's grammar level, and grammar level is really the structural resources, and you guys should be really good at it. This is the the conjunction system. They are linking words and phrases, which, well, like and, but, although, whereas, while, those words that actually helps link up two clauses or more together. So what is cohesion then? By definition, according to CAES1000, cohesion occurs when the interpretation of some element in the discourse is dependent on that of another. And the second one, I just pick out the line in the middle. So cohesion as a process always involves one item pointing to another. And it's important to know that it's pointing to another, because without the pointing, then there is no direction for the reader. Now, you may want to pause this part and read version A and version B, and then get a feeling of which version or which paragraph you like more, and think about why that is the case. Okay, so you may want to pause the video now. After you finish reading, then you can press play and continue. Right, so I hope you have read it by yourself and you have kind of thought about what the reason is that you like one of the versions. For me, or for most of the students that have read it, they will choose A as a better version. Exactly why though? Or you can actually do a new versus given analysis, the information unit analysis. Now, what is meant by new? When you are given as when you see a sentence like the first one, Peter is an English chef. Peter is a new information, and English chef is a new information. And if you read the next one, you can read second line, third line, fourth line. You can see there are other new informations, obviously. So cooking is a new information. Kid is a new information. Cooking competition is new information. Portsmouth is new information. Quitting school is a new information, and local Italian restaurant is a new information. So that's not difficult. How about given information? Now, if you look at the blue arrows, we're looking at one thing pointing to another, right? So the blue arrow tells you what the givens are. And a given means that it has already been given to you, that information, and you just repeat it. So the given information here, you can see it points to all the he, and he. That should be pretty simple, right? And this is version A, and version A is a better version because the given information tends to be on the left side of the sentences. And when I said left side, I mean I cut the sentence up right before the verb. So verb is in the first sentence, second sentence, started, won, and quit. If I do that cutting, most of the given information happens on the left. And this kind of new given relationship where new tend to be on the right side and given tend to be on the left side actually helps the flow of discourse. You can read it, readers find it easier to read. But if you compare that to a paragraph B, when you do that and do the same analysis on new and given, you can see that all the new information happens on the left. And the given information happens on the right, or more on the right this time. And you can see from here why that is the case, that B is not a good version, because readers tend to get confused, or sentences tend to get complicated when there are a lot of new informations happening immediately in the start of the sentence, or if you like, on the left side. And this is a simple example, but very, very powerful one as well. Now, if you just recap, going back, good sentences or good flow of sentences tend to have given on the left, new on the right. Whereas difficult to read sentences tend to have more new on the left and more given on the right. Okay. And if you want to go into the specific terminologies in linguistics, you can also look at Halliday-Hasan, 1976, but you don't have to memorize anything. Okay, just giving you as a reference. But this will kind of summarize the whole idea about new versus given information unit. So new information is new because you tend to see that first time. All repeated information is what we call given. Now, in the first sentence, readers generally expect new information because, well, think about your essay writing. The topic sentence should be new information because that's where your stance are. And you are presenting with topics, you're presenting with object. So that's okay, that's new information. But after that, in other sentences, readers generally expect given. And then when they expect given, they tend to feel that it should be early in the sentence, if you like, the left side of the sentence, that it has to be given, and new information later on in the sentence. That will give better cohesion than the reverse, the opposite. So anthrophoric reference is good if you memorize the terms before. Anthrophoric, exophoric is good for the flow of discourse, but exophoric reference is not. What that means is when your cohesion is strong, most of the new things are already mentioned on the right side of the sentence. If you are using a lot of external references, meaning new information, and is there on the left side, then readers tend to feel more difficult understanding. All right, so just for your reference, but still very simple, very important concept. Now, cohesive devices and strategies, right? Okay, these are the terms given in your book. If you still read the book, that is. So point 1 is referencing. Point 2, lexical repetition. Point 3, linking words and phrases. Basically, what is references? Now, you can see that I also put new versus given here. And how do you make good references? Let me zoom in first. So in terms of references, words such as this, that, these, those, it, all these pronouns, yeah, will actually help a lot in terms of referring to other sentences. And this is just natural because if it's mentioned already, then they are given, yeah? And if they are given, you tend to simplify them with all these pronouns, just like the Peter, and then after that is he. It's the same thing. This example is from one of my students, previous students taking CAES1000, and he actually got an A grade from me. So I would like you to see why I gave him an A as well. Now, in his opening sentence, he goes like this. In the technology-driven society today, technology has permeated every aspect of our daily life, and specifically as a result of the rapid development of the internet, a wide range of information technologies are gradually adopted in our communications with others. This adoption has led to Okay, so I'm just going to stop here for a while. As you can see here, in the first 1 or 2 sentences, a lot of new information, right, which is fine. But you can see that the new information that is in purple right now, a wide range of information technologies are gradually adopted. When this is repeated by the student, he wrote this adoption. So in a sense, he doesn't repeat the whole line in purple. He kind of compressed it and summarized the new information now in a given, as a given in the second sentence, compressed it into this adoption, right? So from generally adopted become this adoption. So this is a good use of new versus given. Next part, actually, so also actually is embedded here. This adoption has led to various changes in our interpersonal relationship. Then full stop. However, whether this impact of technology on human relationships and communications. So the second part, actually not the second sentence. The second sentence this time, whether this impact of this impact is talking about what? Is talking about exactly this adoption has led to various changes in our interpersonal relationship. So this impact is the given of this adoption has led to various changes in our interpersonal relationship. That whole sentence, compact and combine or rephrase or paraphrase into this impact of technology on human relationship and communication. That kind of new and given relationship has been paraphrasing, basically he's been paraphrasing himself. And that's just great. I hope you can see that why this is a good piece and a good opening. Next one, it's lexical repetition. Lexical repetition, I place salmon and fish synonymy and hyponymy here together, because what that means is lexical repetition is the use of synonyms and similar vocabulary or phrases, and can build cohesions across sentences in paragraph or sections. And here are some examples. Again, the same paragraph, the same opening paragraph from my student. This time I'm going to, I actually put different colors. I use different colors. So adopted becomes disadoption. So if we're just looking at the word level or phrase level, adopted is the verb. In the second part, he used disadoption. There's a change in terms of verb to noun, but the same word, same base word, right? And then next part, our interpersonal relationships. That's the first time he mentioned it. Second time he uses human relationships. The third time he used it, he just called it relationships. As you can see, so the specific term, salmon, second time you use it, you call it a fish, the fish, a fish, these fishes. Same thing here. First time, more detail, our interpersonal relationship. Next time, human relationships. Next time, just relationships. So it gets higher level and higher level. That's hyponym. And in a sense, it's also similar meaning, right? And that's very skillful use of that that lexical repetition. Lastly, there is the third part, linking words and phrases, linking words and phrases. And you guys are very good at it. So, if you want to classify them, you have adjective, contrasting, clausal, multiple different categorizations. But mainly, they are things like in addition, additionally, apart from, furthermore, similarly. Next is however, although, even though, while. Clausal, meaning there's a cause and effect. So you use words like therefore, consequences, as a result, due to. And you can also raise examples, and examples are also a good word that links up the stance, right? Remember stance, then example. Stance, then description, then example, and then more either comment or supporting evidence, right? So that example part actually links up the top and the bottom very nicely. But other than, for instance, you can use, for example, to illustrate, and etc. Now, if you want to have various, where is it? Late, I think it's later on. Oh, yes, this one. Okay, so if you want to have other examples of cohesion, you can also click on this list. All right, and this, so it will take you to a PDF, then you can take a look at that list. There are a lot more examples for you to use in terms of linking words and phrases. All right, but that's the next slide. So we're jumping ahead a little bit. Now, identify cohesion within a section. So supposedly we have like an activity to do in class for you to practice spotting what linking words and phrases are. Well, these are so simple. But I think new and given is also worth looking at, right? When you mention it for the first time or when you mention it for the second time. Sometimes when you mention the second time, you can also use lexical repetition. So maybe first time is the environment, second time is some other word that replaces environment. Yeah. So that's an activity you can try to do. It's in your book as well, task 8. So you can go to the book and look for task 8 to do this activity. But because this is a recorded video, so I assume that you have tried and then you move on. Yeah. All right. So this is the paragraph. This is the paragraph. Go and have a look at it and try to find out where the new and given or salmon and fish or linking words are. All right. So do your own annotations. All right, so next section is synthesizing ideas, cohesion plus logic. So we know what cohesion is now, if we link it up with good logic, we can have a good synthesizing, good synthesis of ideas. Now, in the textbook, Unit 4, page 99, it's talking about synthesizing ideas in a paragraph or section. The first thing we should ask ourselves is why we need to cite multiple sources anyway, because you have to have multiple sources, then you can synthesize. If you have only one source, then you're not synthesizing, you're just repeating. But when you have multiple sources, why do you need that many? Well, the answer here is that the writer wants to use multiple sources to enhance the credibility of information being cited. The relationship between the sources is that the sources are reporting similar information. So similar kind of comes to your mind whenever you gather information. What are the functions of using synthesis or synthesizing information from your sources? Well, there are at least 5 functions that I can think of. The first one is to list examples. What that means is, now I show you this paragraph taken from my own journal article. Hold on, it's a journal. There's a conference paper. It's a conference paper that I did. I think this is the first paragraph or second paragraph of that. Anyway, the link is on the second slide, the next slide. So you can click this and then you can have a look at it. I forgot what that is myself. But okay, that's not the key thing. Is I have extracted this paragraph because when I was listing example here, what kind of example? I was listing types of internet marketing and public relations, IMPR, that I, in short form, I was listing the kind of research of IMPR, basically. So if you look at line 3, or line 2, actually, end of line 2, in the field of hotel and tourism management, the research of IMPR often extends into travel sites reviews. And then, so there are travel sites reviews like travel, what's that? What's that? What's that famous website where you put TripAdvisor? So those are like travel site reviews where you can add a lot of things. I'm not sure OpenRise is considered one travel site reviews or not, but anyway, Google review. Google has also got a function for you to write your own reviews. Okay, so some of the scholars, the research have been done on these, including Sparks and Browning, and Zhao, Wang, Gall and Law, Gravilian, Avello, Martinez, Narakrok, something like that. As you can see here, this is a one citation with multiple references, right? They are all linked together using semicolon. Now the edition of this, by the time I was writing it, it was the 6th edition of APA. So by now the citation is not exactly accurate, right? If we are looking at the 7th edition, so that pay attention to that, because if we're talking about the 7th edition, take the second citation example, Zhao, Wang, Guo, and Law. When the number of authors are more than 2, we do not need to list their names out anymore. So in this case, it will become Zhao, comma, and then et al. Et al. Et al. Is et, and then space, and then al dot. Et space al dot et al. Followed by the year. So same for the next one, actually. So the next one is Gravilian, Avello, and Martinez Navarro. So there are 3 authors. In the new APA 7th edition, you only need to write Gravilian, comma, and then et al. 2018. All right, so just wanted to let you know that. Anyway, so that's the use of citation in combining all the authors who did the same thing or similar things, which is the research of IMPR in travel site reviews. They all did the same thing. So I listed 3 papers at least. Then hotel website design, there are 2 papers by Xun and Cheng and Xun, so 2. And then indexing, there are 2, Leong and Law. And then e-booking system, and in some innovative cases, artificial intelligence, we have Gall, Mock, and Law, which now should become Gall et al. robotics, Kirshi, and okay, anyway, I can't pronounce it. You go read it. But basically, that's what I mean. When you're listing examples, you have examples like travel site reviews, hotel website design, indexing, e-booking, artificial intelligence, robotics. Every one of these needs to be backed up with as a good reference, with a good reliable reference. So that's listing examples, because that's what it is. For those of you who would like to know more about using citation within the same parenthesis, you can also click this link. This link, and I'm going to take you to another website. This is the APA, American Psychological Association's official website, which talks about how do you cite 2 or more references within the same parenthesis, which is a great article for those of you who are not happy to be a normal user, you want to be an advanced user of it. This is great. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly talk about a few things. Okay, so the second one, past research. We have this goggle or gold gel. I don't know. Anyway, so this author has 3 papers, right? 1990, 2006, and in press. When you see in press, it means that it's going to be a printed book. And it's in press, it means it's being printed, it's coming out, but it's not out yet. So you will see in press. And an alternative would be, or more modern approach will be replacing in press with forthcoming, 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 one word. Because for forthcoming, you also get to see that in electronic format, so ebook or e-journal article format. So that's more common these days. Next one is if you use words like several studies, you have to make sure that you do include several studies as citation. So in this case, you have an example here, Derryberry and Reed. And this pair of authors has published several things, right? And in 2005, they published 2 articles in the same year. So what happens is you have to separate the 2 articles by adding A, B into the end of the year. I mean, next to the year, add A and B. If it is in press, you can have -A, just to separate the S and the A. If there are 2 in press, you can have in press -A and in press -B, or forthcoming. Then you have forthcoming A and forthcoming B, like that. This is how we separate the 2. Which one will be A, which one will be B? Well, that depends on the reference list. If your reference list, it's correctly created or accurately created, it should be sorted by the year, and then by the author's name. Now, after the author's name, they will sort the list by the year of publication. If all these information is the same, so same author, same year, the next thing the computer or you should be sorting is the alphabetical order of the title. So if the title is a boy for the first article, the next article is their dog. Obviously, a boy will be listed higher than their dog because A comes before T. You get what I mean? So once you have that reference list, the first one in the reference list will be A, and then next one will be B. You have to do that manually, even if it's generated using software. You have to do it by yourself. Okay, that's very important. Nice. Okay, so that's just a quick review. Otherwise, other than that, you can just look at it by yourself. You can do more readings by yourself. Okay, let's go back to function 2. Function 2 is to allow scholars speak on your behalf and add persuasiveness. And this is also taken from the same paper, from my paper here. What I mean is, actually, to tell the truth, when I was writing this paragraph, I wrote at the beginning, the draft, everything is written using my own words. So supposedly it was like a press release is perhaps, and then something, and then yet it is also What was written were originally all in my own words. But because if everything is written in your own words, it's not persuasive enough, right? You want to add other people's words into it. So after I finished writing the sentence, I thought, okay, maybe I can go and find some other references. And so I did. And I found this Cavell and Miller. And I found that Cavell, it has said something very good, very similar to what I said. So I took his word and inserted into my version. So I removed my version, I mean, my words in that sentence, and then I just replaced mine with his or hers. I forgot, him or her. And then later on, yet it is also, and then I wrote something else before, but it was not that good. And Miller wrote something even better. So I put his version into my sentence. By doing that, actually, you can avoid the whole plagiarism concern. You have more flexibility with your sentence structure or the whole construction of the paragraph, because it's all your words at the beginning. And it's only later that I found something and I replace with other people's words because they are better version of it. And if you look at this is persuasive because it's from scholars in the field who did actual research and actual studies, and just a lot more better than I saying everything myself, because I'm nobody, right? Maybe that's also why the paper has won an award for that. Just saying. Next, function 3 is to provide additional reference for readers, and you have seen how we can also use C, as in SEE, or CF dot to give extra information, right? So CEE is basically telling the reader, okay, there are, for example, in this first line, for a detailed description of creativity, see Carter 2004 and Law 2021. So you're referring the reader to read more if they want to. Next, CF dot, right? Ekman and Friedman, Taylor. This is to show the reader, or to tell the reader, inform the reader that there are alternative views on this issue. But if you're interested, go read it. I'm not going to talk about that, but I know what they are. I know they exist. So here they are. It's not my view, but if you want to have a look, go ahead. It gives the reader the opportunity to get to see the other side of the argument, which is great, and also let the reader know that you have covered all bases. You actually know there are opposite view. Also adds credibility to that one, which is great. Function 4 is to retain original meaning in definition. So it is a definition we don't usually need to paraphrase. So in this case, Mabin 2015 talking about multimodal creativity. So it's her definition. So I basically just double quote, give a page number, and make it so that it becomes part of the sentence, and it's a complete sentence. So you have to make sure that this is a complete sentence when you present it. Other than that, it's pretty simple. You might realize that after Mabin, there's missing a comma, and so if it's in APA 7 edition or even 6th edition, this is not a correct way to present it. But if you click the DOI link at the bottom, you'll be taken to my paper published by by CAES, that journal, and then you'll realize that CAES is not accepting APA citation, and that's why you're not seeing APA citation here. So in a sense, I mean, what you see here is not exactly wrong. It's just not APA citation. It is another citation required by CAES, the journal. Different journals, they have different citation style that they created themselves. It's kind of like an identity thing for the journal. It's like, I have my own citation, so you have to follow mine. That kind of thing. Anyway, so it's not APA citation. So be careful. Next one, function 5, to provide sources of data / numbers / information. And what that means is, in the paragraph, you take a look at the paragraph, it says here, referred to as the real-life Iron Man on whom Robert Downey Jr. modeled for his 2008 Marvel studio film Iron Man. And then comma, Johnson and Hearn, and then talk about Elon Musk is one of the most tweet prolific multi-corporation founder, CEO, and a lot more things. So what is the citation doing? The citation is actually providing just the source of that. I mean, without Johnson and Hearn in line 2, there's no way to prove that the Marvel movies, Iron Man, was modeled after Elon Musk, right? So you have to have those citations. And later on, the more information you provide, then the more useful citations or references that you have to include. So this is what it is doing. If you look at line 4, ranked number 2 in the Forbes list of the world's most innovative leader, you need to give a reference, right? Otherwise, how do you know? How do you know it's number 2? How do you know it's number 2 on Forbes list? So I added citation, which is Allen, 2018, so on and so forth. So this is simple. So basically, we have 5 simple ways to use or apply citation. So just a recap, really quickly. Function 1 is to list examples. Function 2 is to allow scholars speak on your behalf and add persuasiveness. Function 3 is to provide additional references for readers. Function 4 is to retain original meaning of a definition or in the definition. And function 5 is to provide source of data, number, information. All of these original papers can be found in the boxes in blue at the bottom. Finally, so strategies for synthesizing on your book, page 100, is to analyze the similarities, differences, use cohesive devices strategies, accurately represent the meaning of the information being synthesized and synthesized by using one sentence or multiple sentences. Well, if we were in class, we would have done some writing activity together. And well, the writing activity was originally meant to be about artificial intelligence. Anyway, we will not be able to do this, right? Because we have the class canceled today because of the yellow, amber, then red, then black rainstorm, then red, and then whatever again. So we have a class canceled. But if you're interested in the topic itself, really, I highly recommend that you watch these 3 videos at the bottom. They're funny and they're very useful as well. So go ahead and watch it. I'm just going to move on. All right. No Will Smith. Bye, Will Smith. Bye, Elon. And bye, Stephen Hawking. All right. So by the end of that, you should be able to analyze your synthesized sentences by clicking the bottom. You should be able to integrate information that overlap or differs, use cohesive devices and strategies, synthesize accurately representing the original meaning, and also synthesize through one or multiple sentences and citations. I mean references. Actually, Corpus, our online Corpus tool is super useful, but I don't think I should talk about this now, and I didn't talk about it even in another class because, well, didn't have the time, and also it's not that easy. So I actually want to talk about this in a separate lesson if possible. But in case I don't have the time to cover it, here are the links provided for you, and you can have a look and read the instructions and do some self-studying. I hope I can cover that one day. All right, and all right, coming to the end of this. So the deadlines, first one, was that plagiarism Moodle completed? Great, nobody failed, everybody passed, excellent. Second thing coming is obviously the academic writing task 2 plus annotations. That's 13th October, 5 p.m. 25% for writing and 5% for annotation. Upcoming deadline. I will only accept the Turnitin soft copy, so don't send anything to my email. And after you have submitted to Turnitin, please check the Turnitin report as well to check for similarity percentages. Ensure that you don't have a similarity percentage that is too high. Do read the report carefully. If you see 30% similarities, don't be scared. Don't be too scared. because reference list, if you have compiled it correctly, it should contribute to those percentages. So I don't just blindly look at the percentage and then say, hey, you have plagiarized. I will also have a check, but you should be the person to do the first check. Make sure you submit the file correctly and it's readable. Annotation shows up in the turn it in as well, or the turn it in version as well, because sometimes some students, they have multiple versions of the same write-up. One version is the one they finished, and the other version is the one that with annotation. And because it's near deadline, they just uploaded the wrong version without annotation. So they lost that 5%. Be careful, check after submitting, check again. All right, so submit to turn it in through the course Moodle, wait for the results, get that report, take a look at that report, look at what you have submitted to me, because if you don't upload the right version before deadline, there's no turning back. Okay, I will not accept, anything after the deadline. Just like all other teachers, they won't accept anything after deadline. That's just the rule. So make sure submit the correct version. How do you know? Go check it. You are allowed to submit, I think, 2 times to the turn it in. All right, but the second time will usually take longer to generate that report. All right, be careful of that. And don't submit your assignment in the last minute. Don't. Finally, our 3-hour makeup class for lesson 6. So today's video is basically replacing our canceled lesson today, but we still have to have a makeup class for lesson 6 on Zoom at 9:30 to 12:20 p.m. On which day? One class is doing this on Tuesday, one class is doing this on Friday. The Friday class will be doing this on Friday. Tuesday class will be doing this on Tuesday. So go to the PBTX that is inside our OneDrive folder. One of the slides will have the Zoom URL. So go and look at that, look for that slide, click Zoom link, and you'll be able to join that section. But do test your Zoom before that section, meaning you can try out, click and see how you set up your Zoom. Set it up first. You don't want to be testing and trying on that day at 9:30, right? That will be too late. All right, so test it out before that section. And finally, we have our past Prezis or past lessons. There is no need for you to take attendance today. Yeah, all right, so that's the end. Thank you very much for watching this. You may want to watch it double speed, up to you. Oh, it's too late to tell you now, right? This is the end of the video. All right, anyway, yeah, hope you have learned something. And most importantly is really go and do your own practice. See you in the next lesson then. Okay, see ya, bye-bye.